Do you guys think that height matters when it comes to love? You guys think that it's weird for a guy that is maybe 5 foot 3 inches or 5'4" to date a girl who is maybe 5'10", 6 foot? My answer to that is no. And the manga that we're going to be covering today has the same answer. For today's manga look, guys, we're going to be covering another a manga by a man known as Sanorin. Now, this is the person's pen name. That's not the real name, but that's what they go by. Sanorin, who wrote this beautiful manga depicting what I was talking about to you guys earlier about whether height should impact your love for someone. And according to this author, no, you can have a beautiful love story. So today's manga we're going to be covering in today's manga look is Boku no Kanojo wa de Kawaii, or My Girlfriend is Big and Cute, for the English translation. It's honestly a really cute manga, and I'm actually really excited to cover it today. So yeah, we're going to be covering chapter 1 right away. Okay, to start off with chapter 1, right, we get introduced to our main protagonist, who goes by the name of Komi, where he then goes on to talk about how he was very popular during elementary school. That being shown in the panel by him being surrounded by by 3 girls back when he was a kid. They're all asking him to go home with them, which is crazy. But then he goes on to say, but when he entered middle school, while everyone else was blossoming, he noticed that he was being left behind. How he was being left behind was that everybody was outgrowing him. As he goes on to call them bamboo shoots, he's very mad about it. He then goes on to say, because of his short stature, he had no hopes for his high school life, calling himself a late bloomer and telling them to enjoy their time. And he basically goes on to say he never thought that one day he would get here, that being the day where he'd have his very first girlfriend, which we see in the next panel, which is a very beautiful double page spread with a girl calling his name, Komi-kun, as she's running down, telling him sorry to keep him waiting. He then introduces her as Asumi Obinata, who is his total opposite. That being that, she's very tall, shown in the next panel, and has a very big heart. We then get this panel of her smile, where he goes on to talk about how her smile is radiant like a sunflower, and that he finds it really charming. The author does a great job at showing this with the really well drawn picture of her face, well defined eyelashes, and a very cute smile with her responding with, "Is that so?" We then follow that up with a little cute moment between the two where Komi saying that there are countless things that I mentioned, but one thing stands out. He then goes on to say, "Hey, watch out for the dog poop." His girlfriend, Asumi Obinata, looks down and then followed up to the next panel where she does a cartwheel into a flip twirl and lands onto her feet. She basically turned into an acrobat, like pulling out like Nightwing level moves out here as he's shouting "watch out" just to avoid a piece of dog poop. It's incredible, man. Which in the next panel we followed up with her cutely relaxing, then dashing back up with like a very cute smile, telling him that was close, as our boy Komi says she's amazingly athletic, as another thing that's very different between the two of them. She goes on to thank him, saying "Thank you, Komi-kun." He's like, yeah. She's like, "I panicked a bit there." As she's being all flustered, our boy Komi is enthralled. He's enamored. He is stuck with how cute she is, as the author draws her face and he calls her very cute. He then goes on to say she's very amazing. He loves this girl, bro, with all his heart. Despite the size disparity, he loves this woman. We then followed up with them in gym class, where he goes on to say Obinata has a big heart and a big body as compared to the other girls in their class. She's pretty big. She's huge. He goes on to say she's a very cute girl. But then he also says, but she doesn't think she's very popular, with this being followed up with her saying that this is her first time dating. I guess when he first asked her out, he's the first one that ever asked her. And then he said, and the reason is, well, I have a guess, as we transition into a conversation that his classmates start to have, where they ask, who do you think is the cutest girl in class? Then we get the next panel full of a bunch of guys talking about it. He said, one guy says, for me, it's Kawaii-san. And then one of the guys says, well, maybe. Another guy says, what about Otonashi? She's the clean and neat type. And that guy says, another guy next to him, as he's putting on his shirt, says, yeah. One of them mentions our boy Komi's girlfriend. He says, what about Obinata-san? Her looks are pretty decent, right? One of the guys, the guy with the bowl cut, I guess, says, her height is a deal breaker. The rest of the boys go on to agree with him, saying, yeah, I get that. She can be really intimidating sometimes. I get scared when she's right in front of me. Which is a crazy statement for these dudes to say, that they're taller than our boy, but are afraid of her. And our boy's out here like, these guys don't understand anything about her. Damn it, I want to gush all about all of Obinata-san's charms. He loves her so much. He's like, I want to, brag about my girlfriend to these losers and tell them how wrong they are about her, right? So he comes up with a plan to sort of, say something. He's like, as one of the guys says, I definitely prefer the small, cute types like Kawaii. I'm not into giants. That statement of, which was really mean, calling her a giant, broke our boy. And he says, what a load of bullshit, as he's stepping toward you guys. And he goes, hey, you guys. And they respond with nervousness. That's because he shouted that shit at them. He goes on to say, do you like chihuahuas? And they're like, yeah, well, I like dogs, so yeah, I guess I like them. What do you? And then Komi's like, what do you guys think is nice about them? The guy that said he doesn't like Obinata because she's tall says, they're small with big watery eyes. It makes you want to hug them, I guess, right? So then he goes on to say, so what about golden retrievers? Another guy who was in there, he says, oh, I have one at home, really. And one of the guys responds, really? Yeah. And he says, yeah, they're big and fluffy and friendly. They're incredibly cute, The other guy goes on to say, oh, really? Let me pet it sometime. Obinata, with a very relief sign, says, that's what I mean, as he thinks both are cute. He was basically trying to use a dog analogy to, get these guys to understand, if you guys think a small chihuahua was cute and think a golden retriever is cute, the same thing can be applied to girls. Small girls are cute. Big, tall girls are cute too, in a different way. Hell of a way to do that. Hell of an analogy by our boy Komi to compare his girlfriend to a golden retriever and a dog. But his heart is in the right place. His heart is in the right place. He then leaves. Saying, see you. The guy's confused, saying, really, that's all you wanted to say after you interrupted our conversation? He goes on to say, I'm going to protect that adorable smile that shines like a sunflower. Bring, bring, as the bell rings, we then get to see our girl Azu, or Obinata's friend, say goodbye to her, and she says, yeah, see you tomorrow. Our boy then, Komi, reflects on the previous situation, saying because of those situations, we're keeping our relationship a secret at school. Which makes sense, right? He goes on to say, given the way we are, I can only see a future where they'll be teased. Because the way I look, it will probably make Obinata-san uncomfortable. He doesn't want... I like how it's not because she's tall that he feels uncomfortable being with her. He doesn't want her to be teased because he doesn't want to put it through that because he's short, right? We then get these weird comments in the panel saying, haha, this is wild. Oh, whoa, what a weird couple, as they're comparing the size difference. And it's about like a 6-inch difference. It's not that big of a difference realistically in the grand scheme of things, but some people get bothered by that. Me personally, not that type of dude. So he then starts to text Obinata. Her phone rings as she takes it out. He says, "Do you want to go home today?" in a message. He also follows up, but is it a bad time for you? She says, "It's okay." He then goes on to say, "Let's meet at the usual spot." And she says, "Okay, got it." He goes on to explain that they meet up at a place pretty far from school so that they can walk home together and take a detour so they don't run into their classmates, because again, he's trying to avoid every facet of chance for her to get bullied by people, because he doesn't want her to put her through that just because she chose him. And honestly, I don't think he should worry about that. I think she loves him dearly. And it's honestly cute that they care about each other in that way. He thinks he's slick because in the next panel, he's like, as he waves away, she reacts with like blush, followed by her in the panel after that, waving with her fingers in a very cute way as they both turn away. He then puts a really creepy smile on his face as he says that she's so sweet that he can't stop smiling as he's trucking to the spot to where they meet. It's honestly kind of wholesome. It's a very cute moment between the two. I love it. This author, this slice of life is great for that reason alone, that it's very cute romance. There's not much drama. It's just seeing two people who are, I guess, it's not the first time we've had a short guy and a tall girl date. There's another anime and manga for that, but this one really is really cute. And if you guys like these type of stories, yeah. So as we continue, we then follow up with the next scene. They're in class. Komi and his friend are watching this couple be all lovey-dovey with the girl sitting on his lap, saying, "I want some taco and I want some juice. Let's go to a vending machine." And he's saying, "Okay." Our boy Komi's friend says, "I seriously can't stand couples like that at school. They'll definitely break up soon." He's such a hater, bro. Then he says, "I wish he had one because he would love to have a girlfriend." He's honestly kind of jealous. Komi then responds, "Dude, you gave in so quickly." Komi then thinks about their faces and how close they were, and he's wondering when the day will come when him and his girlfriend can get that close and cuddle. As we see at the very bottom of the said panel, Obinata jumping on him and him holding her back as they're cuddling. It's honestly kind of cute. The boy then says, "and kiss." And the next panel, he wants to kiss her too, as we see a close-up of her face leaning in with her lips puckering up, getting closer to Komi as she's calling his name, kissing him, as he's just there daydreaming about that. His friend's like, "Hey, Komi, man, Komi, what's up?" Komi jumps out and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't say anything though." He's like, "Oh, he was so stuck in this delusional daydream about his girlfriend that he thought his friend said something. He didn't say shit." His friend's like, "Anyway, let's play some rock paper scissors. Loser buys drinks." And he's like, "Huh, I'll have to pass on that." He says, I'm gonna be going on future dates and such, so he wants to save money up for his girlfriend. So his friends are like, "Huh, why?" He's like, "I want to sing." Komi responds, "I want to save up some money, so I'm cutting back on spending. Is there something you want to buy?" "Well, something like that," he responds, right? He says, "What a bummer," his friend. Komi responds, "Hey, if you have money to buy a drink, pay me back for the lunch I bought for you when you forgot your lunch the other day." And his friend plays idiot. He says, "Did you do something like that?" He's like, Komi responds with anger, like, "People like you who are loose with money aren't popular, you know." And he says, "Hey, now, I don't want to hear that from you." He's like, "Unlike you, I had a girlfriend in middle school." And he's like, "What?" As Komi thinks how annoying he is, Komi then responds by mumbling, "I have a girl. I have one." He's like, "Have what?" And then he shouts, "I have a girlfriend." "Hey, are you okay? Have you lost your mind now?" Puts his hands on his desk and shouts, "I have a massively cute girlfriend." While his girlfriend is behind him talking to her friend. She hears him say that. She knows he's talking about her. And he's like, and his friend's like, "What?" And then he responds with, "What?" In the next panel. And he's like, "Oh crap. I said it on impulse." Comey, his girlfriend Obinata, is her heart is thumping. She's like losing her shit. He's like, "What?" His friend's like, "What? Are you serious? Who is she?" And they're both freaking out. And then she says she's from my elementary school, like the dick bags that always say that just to pretend like they had a girlfriend. And then he sits down all rattled and he's like, "Oh, come on, don't make me." His friend's like making fun of him, saying, "Don't make me laugh, bragging about past girlfriends." And then a girl behind the Comey's friend, not Comey's friend, Abunato's friend says, "Bragging about past girlfriends, huh? You both are so lame." As they both dudes, Comey and his friend told, Comey's embarrassed. He doesn't say anything. His friend tells her to shut up. Comey turns around, basically telling himself, "Damn it," in his head, like he embarrassed himself in front of Obinata after seeing her face. Not knowing that Obinata wasn't embarrassed by any of that. She was stuck on the fact that he called her a very cute girlfriend. He then goes on to say, "Oh, this is so embarrassing. If only I was tall as my girlfriend, I could be more confident." Her friend says, "Oh, seriously, boys are so lame, right, Azu?" And then she hesitating says, "Oh, that's right." As her friend says, "What's wrong?" Because she's reminiscing about our boy Comey so proudly saying how cute she was. Adorable. We then follow that up with them. It's raining. Them running into a shelter. Both Comey saying he didn't think that the forecast said that it wouldn't rain until later, so he didn't bring an umbrella. And he asked his girlfriend, "Hey, do you have an umbrella?" And then he was thinking about this. Could this be a chance of to share an umbrella? In the next panel, he starts to think about our school uniforms don't have the same kind of romantic appeal that comes from a wet blouse or whatever. He then realizes that how he can't hold the umbrella because how much shorter she is. Her head will hit the top of the umbrella. And then he goes on to think that she'll hold it, and he has to apologize for that, making him feel pathetic because he feels like he's not a man enough for her because he's short. Like I said, at the end of the day, her being tall doesn't bother him. Him being short bothers him. He's super insecure about his height. I don't think it matters to her though. She says, "All right, do you want to come inside with me?" As she bends over, she pulls out, in the next panel, she pulls out, she tells him, he says, "Oh, thank you." And he thought she brought it. He said, "Wait, hold on a second." She brings out a raincoat. What he thought was an umbrella was not. He's waxing shock about the raincoat. She then says, "All right, come inside," because she knows he'll fit inside the raincoat because he's small. It's like a kangaroo, honestly. She says, I lower my lower half gets wet if I use a normal umbrella, so I always use this." Oh, because she's so tall. I thought maybe Komi-san would fit in there, as she's grinning. He's not bothered by that at all. She finds it very cute that she wants to share a raincoat. And then he starts to think, wait, do people share raincoats? Won't we be too close? We haven't even held hands yet. He's like, she's surprisingly bold. Well, I'm happy about it though. The whole part about her saying that her lower half gets wet is he's like, that's some crazy wording, my girl. The way she said it. He then tells himself to calm down. He says like, "Oh, well, maybe we could wait a little bit longer to see if the rain stops." He's like, "Before we do that, let's wait. It does not stop." They're like, "Wow, it's getting dark." Obinata not trying to impose, not Obinata, Comey not trying to impose, basically says, "There's no choice. I guess I'll have to get wet. Sorry for making you wait for me." And then she freaks out and says, "No, I won't let you. I'll be the one running home, Comey-kun, you just wear this." As she throws her raincoat. He's like, "After all, I was just waiting because I wanted to. When I remember that I'm your girlfriend, Komi-kun, it makes me want to stay with you even if it's just for a little longer. Sorry if I'm being annoying. Again, he does not find that annoying. A boy is enamored. He finds her cute. As he's saying, uh, as he thinks to himself, sorry, but I have more things I want to do with you. No, she says that. And he says, me too. As he leans in, thinking, I want to touch you, I want to hold you, I want to hug you, many more things. Let's do it. It'll be like a skit. And she's like, a skit? In the next panel, she says, all right, like those gags of two people in a single coat. You realize that now? Like, she didn't realize how it would look until now. And then they're like, well, let's do it. Well, then, excuse me. Okay, I'm closing it in. By the way, the only reason why he didn't want to share a raincoat with her, not because it was embarrassing, is because he would be really close to her, you know. This region, for those that understand, know what I mean. His head would be touching it. And then he's like, okay, she's closing it in. He freaks out because it's nice. It feels like he's in a hotel pillow. He's talking about, you know, this region. We then followed up with her realizing, there we go. She's saying it's a bit embarrassing, and he's like, you realize that just now? And then they make it to class, and he says, we didn't get wet from the rain, but as he walks in soaked, and people are like, welcome back. What, you didn't bring an umbrella? Are you an idiot? He's like, well, it was way too hot in there. He thought he was gonna die. Basically, it's sweat. He came in wet because he was sweating inside the raincoat. He didn't get wet. He basically said my impure thoughts were washed away by sweat because he was freaking out. The next day, it became an urgent legend about people saying that they saw a ghost with 10 tentacle legs. It had 4 or 5 legs with basically they saw them inside the raincoat together, and people thought it was a ghost. It's hilarious. They both him and his girlfriend are freaking out, and that's the end of the chapter. Honestly, this story is full of laughs. It's wholesome. I read up to the current chapter. There's about 11 translated chapters currently in English, and about, I think, 14 translated chapters in Spanish for those that want to, you know, read it. I will put the link in the description for where to buy it on Amazon, as well as the link to Manga Dex, where you guys can read it online for free. Also, remember to always support the author. So if you guys do read it, please buy the manga, the official manga, to support the author. It's always good. But anyways, this story is really wholesome. Great romance comedy, great slice of life. I hope you guys enjoyed me covering chapter 1. I know just from the first chapter alone, it's a great show. It's very cute and wholesome because it's exactly like that chapter the rest of the way through. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and go read the manga. That's what we do here. It's really good. Adios.